What's something only kids who grew up poor would understand? I was 9 when I learned what homemade costume really meant. Our school announced Dress Like Your Future Career Day. With the same excitement, they announced everything that cost money. Kids immediately started chattering about store-bought doctor kits and firefighter helmets. I sat silent, already doing the math in my head. We didn't have costume money. That night at dinner, ramen with an egg when we were lucky. I mentioned it casually. Career Day's coming up, I said, pushing noodles around my bowl. Dad looked up. What are you thinking of being? I shrugged. Maybe just a teacher. They wear normal clothes. I'd already planned this excuse. He nodded slowly, with that look. The one where he was calculating what he could sacrifice. We'll figure something out, he said quietly. 2 nights later, I woke up at 2 a.m. to find Dad hunched over Mom's old sewing machine. His work uniform for the morning shift was laid out ready, but instead of sleeping, he was carefully stitching something white. Dad, I whispered. He startled. Hey buddy, go back to sleep. Just working on a little project. In the morning, he presented it. A lab coat made from an old bedsheet with pockets. He'd even created a stethoscope from headphones and a funnel. For my scientist, he said, his voice proud despite the dark circles under his eyes. At school, I wore my homemade lab coat with a strange mix of pride and fear. When my turn came to present, I said, I want to be a medical researcher who finds cures for diseases. Then lunch came. Zach, whose dad was a real doctor, looked at my coat. That's pretty good, he said, reaching out to touch the fabric. His finger found a tiny tear. Wait, is this a bedsheet? The table went quiet. I felt my face burning. My dad made it, I admitted. Your dad sews? He laughed loudly, like a girl. His friends pounced. Does he wear dresses too? One snickered. No wonder you wear the same 3 shirts all year. Another added. Someone else called out. Is that why your backpack's held together with duct tape? Each comment was a knife. They weren't just mocking me. They were mocking my dad, who'd sacrificed sleep just so I wouldn't feel left out. I stared at my free lunch tray. My throat tightened. Don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. Something inside me hardened suddenly. I stood up straight and said, yeah, my dad sews. He also works 2 jobs, cooks every meal, helps with my homework, and still found time to stay up all night making this instead of sleeping before his morning shift. He can do anything. What does your dad do besides buy you stuff? The cafeteria went silent. After school, my teacher, Mrs. Hernandez, asked me to stay behind. Your lab coat is wonderful, she said. I overheard what happened at lunch. You stood up for your father beautifully. She paused. My mother used to make all my clothes. We couldn't afford store-bought. 20 years later, I'm a research scientist. I keep a photo on my desk. Me in that bedsheet lab coat, standing next to my exhausted but proud dad. Because if you grew up poor, you know the hardest part isn't wearing homemade clothes. It was having to explain why.